All right, this is the first official episode since we named the podcast, and yeah, I mean, what are we going to talk about today?
Welcome back to Seeds and Soil. My husband is going to introduce this podcast because he's a mastermind.
My goodness, my wife had this idea. She's like, she loves that quote. They tried to bury us, but they didn't know we were seeds. But yeah, I mean, that's an amazing quote, and I don't know, we were kind of just sitting on that. Obviously, it ties into seeds and soil a little bit. But we were, reminiscing on a bunch of times in our lives that we felt that people doubted us, that people maybe thought we were going to fail, or thought like, how are they going to be able to get through this season, or they're not going to be able to get through this season. There was definitely times that we both individually felt that, and even just together. So we figured we would share some of those moments with you guys and share a little bit of, those seasons that we went through, and, encourage you guys to know that, those moments don't define you. Your lowest moments don't define you, and it very much sometimes may feel like the lowest moment, but it's really just the beginning of, your journey and, leading up to some of your highest moments.
Yeah.
So what would you say was a moment that you felt that people doubted you, or, thought that you were going to fail?
Yeah. I think since we were young, since we had our kids, I get it. It was a panic. We were 20 and 21. So it made sense. But even then, coming into having the kids and unlearning life as it is, the way we were raised, the way we were going to do things, just from the very beginning, I get it. We have our older generation parents and aunts and everything that's like, don't do that. That's not going to work. But I'll start off with like first when we were having kids, but everything from like the co-sleeping to the breastfeeding,
Yeah.
to what time I should nap them or not,
Mm-hmm.
things like that. And I remember one that was huge was like when I was going to teach the boys sign language, when I made that choice because I took ASL in college, and people were saying like, that's crazy, don't do that, your kid is not going to speak. And I'm like, what? That's not truth. But because I had studied it, I knew that that was a lie. My teacher was really deaf, my professor, and she would tell us, this is such a benefit. And as I was doing my research, it was actually kind of like your child is bilingual if it was just the English language and then sign language. And anyway, we started to do that with Zaya, and it was amazing. We had incredible results because my son hardly tantrumed, hardly like would whine once he was signing, because he knew how to communicate with us.
And this is before he could speak, by the
Oh,
way.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
he learned the signs and how to ask for things. I always do the sign, Brown.
Yeah.
But he learned how to say he was hungry with his hands before he can speak. And so it did help with those
It was
tantrums.
so beautiful, yeah.
'Cause
He
before
learned
that,
like thank you, please,
Yeah.
sorry, which was beautiful because you're teaching him at a young age, hey, this, how to say thank you, how to say please, how to say sorry, and he knew that,
how to communicate, because the words are not rolling out of their mouth yet.
Even like my favorite one was he would say book. He has always loved reading,
Mm-hmm.
and he would always be like more books,
Yeah. It's a big deal when you have an infant, a young baby who doesn't know how to talk, but they can communicate with you.
Not an
So-
infant, but he was months. But I think that was a huge one, right?
Yeah.
I think that was for me the first one as kind of like an adult,
Mm-hmm.
of like, oh, actually everything they said was not true.
Mm-hmm.
I remember they would be like, don't pick him up every time he's crying because you're gonna make him used to it. And I'm like, that's crazy, because this book that I'm reading actually says the opposite. It says that when a child is crying, they need comfort because the child does not know how to communicate that I'm hungry or that I need you. And this is at an infant stage, which is usually infant, I think, is like 0 to 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a lot of that. And I think also tying in the Lord with discernment of like, what do I do? Are they right? Am I wrong? But it was a lot, and it was hard to set the boundary of, you know what, I'm actually not trying to be rebellious, but I disagree with what you're saying and I'm going to do this. And that feels hard, right? Because we come from a heavy culture of, if we oppose, we're being rebellious.
Yeah.
And we don't mean to be rebellious. It's just like, no, that's not correct. There's like science behind it and all of these things. So that was hard. And I think that was like my first big girl choices of, I'm actually going to do things this way. And thank God it worked out, and
Mm-hmm.
I remember like I started to see some women at church and they were teaching their kids sign language and I was like, what? And I remember one time I asked one of the girls, I said, OMG, like, do you know signs? She's like, no. She's like, you know what? Honestly, she's like, I didn't know her. So she had told me, I had seen you communicate with your son and I was so impressed.
No way.
She's like, and I told myself that when I had kids, I was going to teach them sign
Oh, wow.
language. And I was like, what? That was like an unknown to me because I didn't know her.
How many years after was this?
This was like, Zaya and Aisha were still little. So Zaya was like 3, I think. So a long time ago. And that was like impressive to me because I'm like, whoa, like you never know who you're influencing when they're just watching you, so that was one for starters. But I think just
And we were young.
teaching sign language.
We were young. Like, I'm glad you made that choice to go in that direction.
Yeah.
But we were young, and like you said, we come from a culture of like, it's also an older generation wanting to chime in on how we do things, which they're not wrong in a sense. They want to help, and they've been through this process before.
Yeah.
But I do think there was a difference in. I mean, I guess it happens in every generation. Our generation learned from the past generation in a sense of like, you know what, I wished that they would have done this different.
Yeah.
With us, and so we start to implement those changes with the way that we want to do things with our kids.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was a little season to go through. But I'm glad that we stuck it through.
But it was hard.
Yeah.
It was so hard. I mean, I think everything, a lot of things that we do are not normal.
I know. We are, yeah.
I think a lot of things that we do are not normal to the social norm per se.
Yeah.
Like we did sign language. I homeschool my kids.
Yeah. When it rains, we let the kids play in the rain. We let them go get wet.
I let them be barefoot. We let them get muddy. We let them get dirty.
When they're sick, we say, no, we're not going to give them medicine.
Yeah.
And these are things that most people are like, give them Tylenol. Or make them get in the house.
Yeah.
And it's just, we think differently. And it's not how everybody thinks. So we're usually going against the grain.
Yeah. And it's hard.
Yeah.
But we're not doing it from a rebellious place. It's just, again, like I really love learning and I love reading, especially because I see like my motherhood and being a stay-at-home wife or a stay-at-home mom, whatever, just staying at home, everything, as like my ministry, as my work, and I used to think this because I used to get kind of like backlash, like subtle backlash, of people being like, oh, you don't work. Oh, you don't do this,
Totally.
Prior to people now seeing the fruits of my work.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of belittles you a little bit, but I would be like, I don't know what they mean. Like there's people who give their time and years and attention to their career and then they do it well. Then you have masters and all of these incredible things.
Yep.
But when it's done unto motherhood, it's like looked down on. And the way that I would see it is that, because I would say this, I would pray about this with the Lord, and it was really like, oh man, Monse, like you're doing so much more than you even know. Like you're raising the next generation. And by me laying my life down, quote unquote, like, and learning and doing these things, it's to feed them. I am literally planting seeds of generations that now I'm going to have 3 boys who are growing up to be incredible men, God-fearing men. All of these things that we're intentionally trying to build, all because I said yes, And so it's not in a rebellious way. It's just a lot of it comes from discernment prayer for sure, and then we move forward, at least on my end, because we always say, like, obviously you hold like the finances and the work, and I hold here at home, but it's equally hard or challenging,
Yeah.
and equally sacrificial.
The thing with homeschool, I would say, like, yeah, in the first few years, couple years, like, I think most people definitely, like, you felt a bit of judgment, I guess, or
Yeah.
from like, oh, you just stay at home. Like, it almost, I would even say that in the beginning, like, I even felt like, I was like, what do you do all day?
Oh wow, I'm just finding out.
No, I remember back then you'd be like, you think I don't do anything, but it's a lot. And at first, it even took time for me to understand,
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
how is it a lot? Like, I'd be gone all day, I was
Yeah.
like, what's a lot about it? You're home all day. But I think it took time. It took years. And I think every time that we take our kids to birthday parties, or the times that we get our kids together with other kids, I think now you see from some of those parents, like, I don't feel that judgment anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking that they can see in our kids, like, oh, okay, they're doing a good job with them. Like, those
Yeah.
kids are always, our kids get along with a lot of kids, and they play really well with a lot of kids. So usually they're a joy
And
to
we
have
try
around.
that they're like respectful.
Yeah, so most people tell us our kids are super respectful. They play well with their kids, and we're always getting compliments on the boys. We deal with everything at home, but when
Yeah.
we're around other people, people are always complimenting the boys. And so I think that goes to show, like, you know what, homeschooling and just the way that we've been raising our boys, I think is proven to be good fruit, or to produce good fruit.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I mean, you dealt with it on the homeschooling aspect and all the things that you mentioned. I know I dealt with it when I was starting my career.
Mm-hmm.
For me, there was a couple things that, like, honestly pushed me and drove me into wanting to pursue my career even harder. And I don't know why I'm built this way, but I remember when I first mentioned to somebody, I said, hey, I'm thinking of filming and picking up the camera and taking this serious.
Yeah.
And this is when I was like 21, baby on the way, or maybe even before that. And I just remember this person was like, nah, man, it's really hard. Like, it's not as easy as you think.
Yeah.
And that to me was like what? Like,
Sparked your flame.
I'm not asking it for it to be easy.
Yeah.
And it just felt like, oh, you don't believe that I can do it and that I can figure it out. And mind you, 10 years ago, it was harder. We didn't have ChatGPT to look up tutorials on how do you do this, how do you do that. It was harder even to get into the industry. So it was a different time. But I was like, I'm going to figure this out. And I was like, that drove me. That gave me more motivation to be like, nah, I'm going to get it. Years later, I remember telling somebody I'm thinking of starting a business and having a production company.
Yeah.
And this person was like, nah, you shouldn't do that. You should just go get a job. Like, that's too stressful. That's a lot to deal with. And it's easier to just go get a job somewhere. Now that I'm older, I can understand the sentiment with saying that. It is harder. I've been through it now. But I always knew that I wanted to do my own thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to pursue my own thing regardless. I want the harder. This was my mindset at the time. Like, I want what's harder. I want the responsibility. He was like, well, this person was like, you're going to have to deal with insurance and employees. And I was like, I want that. I want to build something. I don't want to just work for somebody. And I've been through it. But now that I've been through it, I do understand that sentiment. I'm like, yeah, it is harder. And shoot, sometimes you feel like you're losing, and it's more stress. But I'm still proud that I've gone this direction, and I still want to build this out. But I mean, imagine if I would have stopped when they were like, nah, it's not something that it's not as easy as you think. If I was easily discouraged, I could have stopped right there.
Yeah.
If I was easily discouraged with wanting to pursue my own path with business. Like, I wonder where I'd be, if I would have done that. And
Yeah.
so,
But what about like in the discouraging moments?
mhm.
What kept you going?
I think I would say I just mentally was already, I signed up for it, and I accept everything that comes with it. And for a lot of years, I just had the mindset of like, this is what, I didn't choose the easy path, and it's all going to be worth it later. I think I had a very like sacrificial mindset in the beginning, where it's like, it's not about me getting paid today. It's about me
Yeah.
building my portfolio. It's not about me
Yeah.
making the most money today. It's about me building relationships. It's about me building my network. It's about me, just building this name out. And it's not about the payment today. And then I did that for years. And then eventually you start to see the fruits of that labor.
Yeah, for sure.
You start to be like, okay, now it's making sense.
I think fruits
No.
of the labor and also your humility. Because I think that it's so insane. I think this social media hype, I do want to call it hype, because everyone sees like the numbers and the people, and it seems easy, right? So nowadays it's kind of like, back in the days interns existed,
Mhm.
like we need an intern, and people would line up, and they were like, as long as I get in the door and I learn, and I think people immediately want to get paid for. And I think it took a lot of humility also from you, because you're good at your craft, but humility also to put yourself out there, and not be expectant, because I think that coming into your industry, I see that people think that like that they feel like they're owed something. And I think
Yeah.
that that's not going to get you so far in life if you think that people owe you something. And I think that that's one thing that for you like set you apart. I will always say that because I've seen you, and I see the way you live your life. And I say that because I know you worked so much, and that's how you came across, even like JP, with like, yo, I'll pull up, and you're like, I'll be there and I'll work, and you get the work done without complaint.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't have anybody that I knew that did what I was trying to do. I didn't have any mentors. I didn't have any connections. And so I felt that I had to do that. I was like, yo, I'll do this for free. Yo, I'll
Yeah.
do this for cheap. I'm just trying. And my mindset was literally like, if I could walk away with somebody's contact today, that was enough payment. Like, that's what it was like in the beginning.
Yeah.
If I can walk away with somebody's contact and somebody who respects me and somebody who wants to call me back for work, that's enough payment.
Right.
Like, and those were the seeds that I was planting at the time. And I was like, this is going to bear fruit later.
Right.
And it did. And I'm glad I
Praise
did it.
God.
I did it at an early age. I did it. This was 21 to 24. Like, I was like going crazy. But, yeah. But now things are different, because now I'm like, yeah, I don't got that type of time. I got kids.
3 kids and a wife later, and a career.
Yeah, we still invest. We still do some things where it's like, all right, man, we're going to make this happen, and I believe in this project, and I believe in us building.
Yeah.
But it's not the same as obviously we've outgrown.
Yeah. I want to ask you, like, what were some things that no one saw that we were going through quietly? I think in this season, right? Where we're saying like, hey, yeah, we were doubted, but I think the most beautiful thing about marriage is this part. Where him and I will come together at night and we're just talking, and sometimes I'm just crying, and and it's wild, because it could be like the stress of the boys, the stress of homeschooling, the stress of trying to maintain a home, and when I was doing ministry, that, right, like I want to do it all well, and I know you want to do it all well, but that I have my person that lives with me, so he sees what I'm going through.
Yeah.
And even last night we had that conversation of like, just thank you for being there emotionally for me. But yeah, what were things that no one saw?
I think that's
we were quietly growing.
I think one thing you just mentioned is the thing that people don't see, and that's us not every night, but at nights, us finding the time to talk to each other, us working through things, us apologizing to each other
Yeah.
because we lost our patience earlier in the day, us apologizing to each other because we didn't consider each other at some point
Yeah.
throughout the day. These conversations where we do that often, and I think most times when we have an issue throughout the day, we resolve it at the end of the night,
Yeah.
you and I. And sometimes once a week, twice, or once every other week, or whatever, like, we find the time to have a real conversation. But yeah, I think those nightly recaps and us having real conversations has been one of those things that, I don't know, brings us closer together and helps us solve problems, and we just work through everything, and that's a thing that nobody sees.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think those moments also that really like ground and root us. I think I always pushed for communication.
Mm-hmm.
So we know when we're off, right? Like we can't go too long, because if we do go too long without having communication, then we start
Mm-hmm.
distancing, and then we feel it, and then we're mad,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's like, well, it's because I need your time. But I think having these recap moments with you make me feel at peace and help me understand you also when you're busy. It's like our time of like, hey, this is going on with the boys, this is going on with work, this is what we're doing, this is how we're doing it, and even just dreaming together, like, I think that's beautiful, and I think that's the gift of being married too. But I think I really have always seen our marriage as a plant, right? If we don't take care of it, it dies. And I remember one time I was like watering this plant actually, and Zaya, he was little, he like dumped out all the dirt, and I was like, are you serious? It was like a stressful day for me already, and I wanted to lose it, I think, and I just sat here in this couch watching it all happen and being like, dude, I just cleaned, and here I am cleaning it again. And I remember the Lord so gently being like, oh man, like, this is how I am with you. Like, I am constantly like just picking up gently when I make a mess, or when I choose to have a blow up or something, that we're so quick to blame children, but we don't take accountability for our actions as adults. And the Lord was just like showing me gently, this is what he does with me. And then it changed my perspective of like, okay, now I'm picking up this soil and I'm putting it away gently. But also just doing that and thinking about like this dirt was wet, and just thinking about it like, when you're doing this, you're tending to this plant for this plant to grow. And I think I've always wanted things to be really good. So when they're not really good, I feel like they're horrible, and I think that for us, it was my marriage in that season. It was like, oh my gosh, Lord, what's going to happen? But the Lord, again, slowly pruning me and reminding me of how to be gentle with you, or teaching me how to love you well. And so anyway, all of that from this little plant, right? Of like, when I'm doing this and I'm pouring the soil and I'm pouring the water, and if I don't look at this every day or take care of it every day, it's going to wither. And so it is with my marriage, and so it is with my motherhood, and so it is with myself. Like, if I'm not feeding my mind and my spirit and being in the Word of God, I think like all hell breaks loose for me.
Mm-hmm.
Because then I'm not myself in you and with the boys. I think that in all seasons, this is what has sustained us, because I think it's things that, again, people can look at our fruit and think, wow, it looks lovely, and social media and all of these things. Like, even this always makes me laugh. And I said this last time, like this whole podcasting, because people can see it on TV and it can translate as, wow, they're doing great, but it's like the everyday grind of being together, loving each other, you being an entrepreneur. Like, there's grind every single day for us and for everyone out there that has done something with their lives, you know. And I could keep going on, but it's like, it takes work, you know. I was even thinking how Kim K was like, get off your butt and get to work, you know. And so many people got offended. They were like, but you have a nanny and you have this and you have that. But it's like, the truth is, most of the time we're wasting our day, especially with social media, you know, and we're not being productive, and then we get mad. But it's like, man, if only we were like disciplined in our head to get things done, it happens. You know what I mean? But there's a daily grind in everything that we do. And for us, it has been that part of like, there's been doubts and there's been fears. And sure, maybe sometimes people were right about things they were saying. But it was like, man, but that's not what God is saying. So even though this feels like a crazy dream, that's the thing that I'm going to go do. Whether you think it's great or not, this is what the Lord is saying to me. So I'm going to go and pursue that thing, even though it sounds crazy and it feels crazy.
I feel like I can't blame people for feeling a certain way, like feeling like, man, they're too young to have kids. Like, what's going to happen? Or their marriage, they're not gonna make it through. It might be better that they just separate, you know, because of, you know, at our darkest moments, you know, separating might have seemed like the better solution.
Yeah.
And just anything, homeschooling, like just anything, all these topics, my career, I can't blame you, like, for thinking that path is gonna be too hard, or you guys are not going to make it through that, or it's just easier to go this way. But I'm glad that we stuck it through and that we went that way. Because sometimes I wonder, like, when I hear other people's stories that are going through certain things, sometimes when I hear people's stories and they're going through it, even if it's something that we've gone through, sometimes I don't know how to give advice. Like, I'm like, dang, like, there's hurt right now.
Right.
I'm like, you're hurt right now. I don't know if you could make it out of this. But I know I did. I know we did. And I think back to it and I'm like, I know we made it through our seasons. I just know for a fact it's because your prayer life, because your relationship with God. I didn't have one at that time. And you did. And you carried most of the weight in that sense. And I know that that's also what helped you stay here and work it out. And so you were stronger at that moment than I was. And I wasn't being the man I was supposed to be. So sometimes when people tell me their stories, I'm like, man, I don't know what to say. But at the end of the day, I mean, the best thing you can say is, like, with me understanding that we're only here because you maintained your relationship with God at that time. There's somebody in that relationship, whoever's going through something, like, one of you guys got to grab hold of God,
right,
in order to make it through this. Because if you both don't, then you're leaving it up to your flesh to make this happen, and that doesn't secure success, I think.
And I think, like, one thing that's so important, as you're saying, I don't know what to tell you. Something that we have to learn is just don't say anything. That's fine.
Facts.
You know, you don't have to understand people. You don't have to have the right words.
Mm-hmm.
The best thing you can do when someone is hurting is hug them.
Listen.
And that's it. Because sometimes your words are actually worse.
Oh, yeah.
You're like, I know you're going through, but vas a estar bien. You're going to be fine. You know, echarle ganas. Sigue adelante. Like, I don't want to. I want to sometimes sit here and feel. Me as a feeler, if I'm going through it, like, you know, sometimes I'm like, I just don't tell me anything. I'm going to sit it out. For Monse, I'm going to go pray it out. I'm going to cry it out. And then the Lord is going to tell me, you're doing too much here. You're correct here. Let's go, you know. But that was something I had to learn in a rough season where I was going through my depression and my PTSD. Like, I understood that people, first off, don't mean it when they say, hey, how are you? They can't handle how you really are doing. And I also understood that we don't know how to handle pain. And pain is uncomfortable for people. That's why I love to love people and I love to be a friend, because I get it. And sometimes it's better to just hear the person out. And if you don't know how to love them or how to listen to them, just hear them out and just be like, I get it. I mean, I'm not I get it, but like,
No, you
just
don't
saying
have to.
like,
Yeah.
it's okay. It's okay. You can come cry here. It's fine.
It's okay to say I don't get it. I'm sorry. I've never been through what you've been through, and I've never felt this pain. But
And I
just
think just
listen.
like hugging a person, because I remember when I was going through the whole child, the things people were trying to say to me that actually hurt me the most, and it made me feel like, oh man, you
Yeah.
don't get it, and that's okay. In that moment, I had to have discernment, and I had to say, Lord, I don't want to be offended because they don't understand my pain. I don't want to be offended. They mean well. Like, these people have helped me in other areas of growth with God, but in this pain, they don't get it, and that's okay. So I sat in my room, and Norby saying like, had it not been for my prayer life, but really it's not that I'm a holy person, it's just I didn't know what to do and I didn't know who to run to but God, so I would be in my room weeping and weeping and weeping. Guys, when I tell you that from 2015 to like 2021, my life was made of crying prayers, weeping prayers, not just for my marriage, like for my mom, for my brother, for my children, for the crazy times we're living in, for my life, and then my marriage, not just this, everything, where I'm like, whoa, God, who is going to lead me? What am I supposed to do? But I'm grateful for them because it grounded and rooted who I am as a woman and everything that I do, that no one can take that away, And so in the rough seasons, I've learned that it's okay to not say anything. And it's okay to just hear people out and say, man, I'm sorry. Like, I don't get it, but I love you and I'm going to be here for you. That's it. We don't have to always put a band-aid on people's pain. And I learned that when one of my friends was going through a divorce. And I was like, oh my gosh, because every part of me, as just keeping it a buck, like someone who considered that an option. And if it didn't happen for us, it was because the Lord was calling me into not doing that. But man, did I want it so bad, because I was like, this is the easy way out. I don't want it. No. And the Lord was like, oh, do you trust me? Do you trust me? And I was like, God, I can't do this. It's hard.
It was
It's
an
hard
uphill
to
battle.
die to yourself.
Uphill battle with no end in sight.
And that was really hard.
I know.
But God. And then I realized, man, God loves us and our marriage, and he loves my husband, and he loves me, and he loves everyone. But when this friend was starting to go through divorce, every part of me wanted to scream and say, don't do it. And it did. But it wasn't like, don't do it. We don't say that word around here. No, it was like, man, I get it. But let's pray. What is the Lord calling us into? What is he calling you into? And that's where in our friendship got strengthened and refined, because it was like literally hours of just weeping on the phone together, weeping together, in person. And then came the thank yous of like, thank you for never telling me to stop crying or to like suck it up, And then I realized we don't know how to handle pain. There's this book called Don't Sing to a Broken Heart. And that book taught me a lot, because we come again from a culture of like, you fall, you get back up and you move on. But it's like, then we end up with all this bitterness and this anger and this hatred. And it's like, if we just allowed ourselves to feel for a little bit, and then we move with discernment of, I can't stay here, I can't sit here, we're going to move on and we're going to let something great happen, which is where it comes to like, if the trial falls on the good soil, there's fruit that's going to be produced, you know. No matter how, I love that a tree needs to be, what's the word? Podar? Because I go to a Christian church. Pruned.
Pruned.
A tree has to be pruned. And again, we're going to bring it to the Bible. Like the Lord is saying that, like he's pruning off all the nasty roots, and we forget about that. And the pruning hurts. When you're pruning a tree, like really pruning the roots, you're like you need all the strength, and it's painful. You know, it's things that we're like, I don't want to let go of this, but we don't have the end vision in mind where the Lord does, you know. And I think that through the doubts and everything, I thank God for a man who is strong and resilient and sometimes rebellious in a good way, because it's taught me to be a dreamer too, and to learn how to say no to things. And it's hard, but we have each other, you know, and we sit and we talk, and he's like the productive and this like A through Z, this is what we're gonna do. And I'm like, but like, let's pray about it. What is the Lord saying? You know,
there used to be times where that would bother me, because you would just be like, let's just pray about it. And I was like, God is not a genie though. Like
I never said he was though, right? I never said he was.
I know.
Yeah.
But I've always said but I always focus on the practical. Like, what are we going to do though? What are the steps that we're going to take? Because we need to work on that. And I mean, I think we're aligned on that now.
Praise God.
I know we're aligned on that.
Praise God.
I see it your way now, and you see it my way, I think.
Yeah.
And we're just...
Which was a prayer, too. You know? Yeah. And it's funny, because when we sit and we have this conversation of, like, hey, what are we going to talk about? He's like today, he's like, I know you're going to talk about God, and I know you're going to say worship, and I know you're going to say prayer, but what's the practical? And I'm like, what do you mean?
I'm trying to make sure. I'm like, listen, like... talk about the specifics of each season, so that they know some of the details, so that they know what you felt in those seasons and what you learned through those seasons. Can't just all encompass it and just say, yeah guys, prayer. And although that is what it comes down to, but
you made such a great point where you were like, these are the things you did, what was the fruit of that? And I was like, oh, I never thought about that. Which is kind of bad in a way, because I feel like I'm constantly like working, where maybe I'm not enjoying my fruit, you know? Like you said with the boys, I'm like, oh, you're right. Like, that's one thing I'm learning right now, where all the work that you do, like, are you enjoying it? You know, with the boys, I work so hard with the homeschooling and everything. And we have moments where I'm like, when I'm teaching them, I do see that. I'm like, oh man, remember where he was crying for this, and now he's doing it so smoothly. Like, I see that, and it's so beautiful. But then there's other areas where I like, it's kind of like something I prayed for so long, I don't even realize, oh, this doesn't hurt, you know?
I think I get excited about even just a little bit of progress, and I think I always notice it in every aspect. If you notice, when I'm with the kids and I'm trying to teach them something new, whether it's skateboarding or riding a bike or whatever, or when they were doing boxing, it's like I get excited about the little things, like, oh, that's good, great progress. Even with their swimming, it's like, because I know that it's just going to get better and better and better.
Yeah.
And so I see that across our life all the time. I mean, I remember when we were in a bad season and I would tell you, we're getting better. And you were like, no way, and no way are we better. Like, let's separate. And I was like, no, what are you talking about? Like, we're getting a little bit better. I see it.
But I want to bring that back, because I think our better was different.
It was.
And so you have to talk about that. You can't say, because it wasn't that I was rejecting your excitement. It's that, no, you were getting better. I was waiting for you up here. Does that make sense? Like, not in a, how do I word that? We were getting better, but I think there was internal things that I knew that I was like,
I'm getting a little bit better.
Right.
Internal things where it might be my
Right.
mindset, where it might be I may have gone through my day and I knew that I was like had a little bit of progress, but it wasn't necessarily anything that was tangible to you or that
Right.
you can
Exactly.
see. And then with that, over time, in my mind, it's like it's compounding, and it's like we're way better than we were 3 months ago.
Yeah.
But you couldn't see any of that.
Yeah.
And, even a year later, like it's like you couldn't see that. But I mean, at that time, I felt like I was like, you wanted it to be up here already,
Yeah.
perfect. And that was the only way that you were going to consider it
Yeah.
progress.
And that's my like downfall, I guess. I don't know if that's the correct
Why would
word.
you say that that's accurate? That
That's accurate about me.
you needed to be 100%
Yeah.
for you to consider it
Yeah.
progress. And I'm different. I
Yeah.
don't look at it that way. I think a little bit of progress to me is important because I know that if you keep going, then you're gonna reach not perfection, but you're gonna reach a high
Better.
level. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really strange. Actually, I'm like just realizing that because
That's kind of true because you kind of always want everything to be, if it's
just
not to the
good.
T,
Yeah.
if it's not perfect, you're not excited about it or you feel discouraged about it. And that's
Yeah.
what I try to tell you with certain things, like even
How do you practice?
the
Why?
pod
Oh
and
my
all that.
gosh, I
I'm
need a
like,
therapist.
I tell you, I'm like, it's okay to start slow. It doesn't have to be everything that you want. I was just telling you this the other day. I'm like, with the pod, I'm like, it doesn't need to be in its final form from the beginning.
Yeah.
You grow into
And
that.
for me in my head, I see the picture and it needs to look like that before I can start.
But
That I don't know
yeah.
why. It's in my brain. It's like, no, let me be fully ready. Well, I do know why. It's because I don't want to disappoint. You know what I mean?
Disappoint who? Yourself?
Myself and everyone around me, because it's like it needs to be done the right way, or I don't want to do it at all because I just want to give it fully well. You know what I mean? I don't know if
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah, but it takes time. Progress. This
It
is
does take
literally
time.
what we're talking about right
Yeah.
now. It starts off a way that doesn't look appealing. It doesn't start off in its final form, and that's what we're telling
Yeah.
everybody right now. It's like you plant the seed, and it
Right.
takes time
That's
for that
so
to
true.
grow. And before it reaches that final beautiful form that is bearing fruit, and by the time you get to that final point, when everybody's giving you all the credit, when everybody's praising what you've done, you really look at it like you don't know what I've been through to get here.
Right.
Like this didn't come easy, and you appreciate it more, and you're humbled in a sense because it's like
But you know what I'm realizing? That because I'm like, wait, no, I totally get that. But here's the thing. I've separated, like I was so focused on learning how to be a mom, learning how to homeschool, learning how to love you well. And I think I've learned that. And now I have to learn how to do for me. You know what I mean? Oh my gosh, cut the cameras. I'm learning that now, which feels so vulnerable. I don't want to say this to people, which is hard. That's the hard part.
Yeah, you were telling me last night that you feel like you give so much of yourself to everybody and that you don't.
Why are you telling people? Yeah.
And it's true though. You are very much like that, you do always put everybody else before you.
And it wasn't a complaint. It was like,
I know.
I need to be with God.
You need some time to yourself to spend with God.
Because the Lord leads me,
Yeah.
And I don't know if I've said this, but I know like last year I turned 30 and every year I give my year to the Lord. Every day I give my life to the Lord. But when it's the year or the new year, I'm like, okay, Lord, what is this going to look like? Where are you leading me? What do you want to say to me? Guide us, right? Guide me. And so I remember last year, for a couple of years now, maybe like 3 or 4 years, the Lord had been saying like, prepare yourself, prepare yourself. And I was like, for what? Like, Jesus, you come back sooner. What? And when I turned 30, it was that thing where it was like, okay, Monte, you've given your 20s to your home, to your boys. Amazing. Now it's from 30 to 40. And I feel like the Lord is just preparing me. I don't know for what. I mean, I kind of know for what. I know for what. It's the how the heck am I going to get there, God? Because those are really big, giant dreams. And I don't know how to be there. I'm not a scholar. I don't have these type of things. What? How are we going to get there, you know? But I do know one thing, that's why I need to refuel myself every day. That as I sit here, the Lord says, do this, read this, pray this, reach out to this person, and then boom, things happen, you know? And so if I feel clouded, I'm like, ooh, I'm not spending time with God. So my life feels like chaotic. And when I sit there, it's my place of rest and like, okay, we're aligned. We're aligned, you know? And that's the hard part, I think, for me, learning how to believe in myself and the dreams that God has for me, even because maybe, I don't know, little me feels like, you know, one thing I wrote down was like, my mom always believed in me, but there was never tools given to me of how to do things, you know? So while other people doubted us, my mom was like, you got this. It was like, okay, Mom, but like how? You know, and that's where,
but like, how? Yeah.
But yeah, like, how are we going to get there? And that's where you and I come together. We are with the Lord. And we're like, man, this is going to be hard. This is going to be rocky. And there's going to be so much pruning and so much to surrender and give and sacrifice, but also so much fruit that it will bear. And so choosing to believe that.
But we got it. And I choose to believe that. And even sometimes when I tell myself, like, you know, when I'm saying that we're going to achieve everything that we're talking about and that we're going to be able to do everything that we're planning for, sometimes it feels like blind faith in a sense, right? Because there is that little bit of, am I really though? Are we really going to do it? Or am I just telling myself this to hype myself up? But 95% of me is like, nah, I'm going to do it. Yeah. It just takes time and it's all good. And we're going to figure it out, especially just the way that you and I are working together now. Like, you know what? The dreams that we've had, the reason that we haven't been able to achieve them over the last 10 years, some of them, is because the seasons that we went through that held us back, the not being equally yoked, the not having the conversations, the not working together, and us kind of just doing our own thing instead of coming together and saying, hey, let's talk about the finances and have a plan. Instead of saying, hey, this is what I want to do. This is what I want for our family. You know what I'm saying? Instead of, you know, I remember one time we asked ourselves, like, yo, what do you want? What do you want for our family? Okay. And what do you want for our family? It's like, all right. And let's try to bring that together a little bit. And we're due for another conversation like that again, you know, and to write our list and say, this is what you want. This is what I want. All right. Let's bring that together.
For unity.
You know, but I think that's part of the reason why we haven't been able to do everything that we wanted to do over the last 10 years. But now I'm excited because of where we are now. Yeah. And all the groundwork that's been done previously and all the seasons that we've been through, all those tough seasons that we've been through that we made it out of. It's like now I feel like we're on solid ground. And we both know what we want. Then I'm like, the next 10 years, we're going to be able to do everything
in Jesus' name
that we want to do.
Yeah.
So long as it falls under God's plan, you know, it's going to work out.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Don't build your house in a sand castle, in the sand. Build it on firm foundation.
But yeah, I mean, you know, to kind of wrap up a little bit, I would say, don't look at us and think, oh, wow, like, I mean, we say this every time. Don't look at us and think we got it figured out. We don't. We've certainly been through seasons. But, you know, no matter where you are in that process, like, I think the sooner you include God into your plans, the sooner things will start to come together. I think that's one of the things that I fought against for the longest, where I was just like, nah, I'm gonna do it on my own. And lately my mind has been changing, and I'm like, man, had I done that sooner, I think we would have had a lot more progress by now.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, man, don't be discouraged by the dark seasons. There's a lot of work being done in those moments that sometimes you don't even realize until later. But it's the pruning, like you said. It's the pruning. Certain things are being cut off, certain bad habits, certain things are being cut off of your life right now, and you're building something else so that you're going to be a more refreshed, more mature, more prepared person in your next season.
Yeah.
Yeah, what would you say? Any
That's
closing
so good.
remarks?
I think unity so much. Unity matters, because if one thing separated us the most was like when you were so heavily involved in your career, which was like, no, I'm going to do it this way. And was like, all right, I'm going to get out of your way, but I know you need God in it. And that was kind of like would separate us, because you were ambitious and you had dreams, and we still do. But it was like, no, I'm going to do it my way. And it elongated the process.
Totally.
But now when you include the Lord in it, now you're more open to like your wife too, like, which I just think it's beautiful in general, because when you're including the Lord is going to say, grab your spouse, and we're doing it together, And so I think that's the season we're in now, where like we shared, there was hard seasons, and man, we probably have a story for everything. But at the end of the day, how we came out of it was like through having communication, and through being united and bringing it to the place of prayer with the Lord, and saying, hey, Lord, what are we going to do with this? And it doesn't look glamorous, but it's what's giving results, right? And so I would say that. And like, if you're in a season where it feels hard and it feels dark, man, trust God. I pray that you would trust God, and that you would allow yourself to allow the pruning, because I know it's hard, and surrendering your expectations and your flesh, your thoughts, your desires, your dreams, even your habits. It's hard for a little while, because when you realize that God is a good father, he's not going to take things from you to punish you or to make you be like, haha, you deserve that. It's always to bear fruit. It's always to bear fruit. So I pray that you would be the one that's good soil, that literally this lands on good soil, where it's like, this is hard right now, but Lord, I'm going to trust you through it. And it hurts, but I know that you're with me, and I know that you will protect me, and you will provide fully. And it's in those moments. And like one thing that Norby said, it's like blind faith, but faith is just believing in the unseen. So I don't see it yet, but I have faith. I trust that God, you are good. And if something's not given, it's probably because it was not going to be good for you. So that's it, friends.
The last thing I'll say too is that I recently heard somebody say that God doesn't waste your pain, and I think that's super true as well. So no matter the pain that you're going through, as hard as everything seems, as low as you may feel, somehow, some way, God will utilize that. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have yet to share our full story, and we will. And there was a lot of pain in that, and we will. But I know that that's gonna bear fruit as well. When we do share everything, it's like it's gonna bear fruit. And so I think it's safe to say that the same can happen with your fruit. With your pain as well. God will utilize that and make it all worth it. So
first Frank says, if we didn't have rain, we would never see a rainbow. And then he says, and if we didn't have pain, then we would never be thankful. And that's one thing that I've learned in the middle of the pain. It's like, without this, you don't appreciate what we have or what matters. So don't despise the good soil, guys. The Lord is building something beautiful, and it's going to bear fruit. even if the fruit is not tangible. Remember, the fruits of the Spirit are peace, kindness, love, joy, patience, righteousness, goodness. So I pray that if you have that, we're learning through the season.
Go listen to that little boy singing that song.
Amen.
Lord, thank you for sunshine.
Thank you for rain.
Thank you for joy.
Thank you for pain.
It's a beautiful day.
day.
We appreciate you guys listening, man. Hope you enjoyed this episode.
Clip that out. That was so bad.
Oh, yeah, that was terrible. We're going to put like auto-tune on the voice, though, so it sounds really good.
OMG VIP, where you at?
Thank you guys for listening, man. We appreciate you guys taking the time to listen to this all the way through. If you guys are enjoying this, please like, comment, make sure you're subscribed so that you can see all our videos that we drop, all the podcasts that we drop. And again, thank you for watching. Also, if you found this valuable, please share the link with somebody, share it with a friend. We're trying to build this out, so that's going to help us out a ton.
Yes, amen.
All right.
Thanks,
Love you guys.
Love you.
Peace.
Bye.